when you go to work there, you have to go ready to fight every day. Fight for whatever you think you want.
You were the last survivor of the infamous Hart family dungeon.
I'm here to wrestle. That's what I'm going to do. That's probably been my problem everywhere. Yeah, you can wrestle. Who cares? You're going to tell me that I can't be a wrestler? CM Punk's a wrestler, right? Like Randy Orton's a wrestler, right? Undertaker's the Undertaker, but he's still a wrestler. Once you're actually in developmental, that's a lot more of a game than just being good at wrestling.
What was that conversation with John where you changed everything? Can you touch on that?
If you were me sitting here right now, why would I hire you? And I said, I wouldn't. Jericho did get in a fight with Laurinaitis about it. Without even meeting me, he pushed for me. We don't like your face.
We don't like your face. Legitimate conversation, yeah.
I had the image of going home and just throwing my boots in the garbage. In that moment when it was just like, oh, welcome to WWE, it was like, what the f? And I'd worked a lot of stuff against Seth that I guess is never going to be seen. Dream came out and he goes, well, Rick, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Keep on doing it because it's working. You're Ascension now. It was Hunter that put me in Ascension.
You come in, immediately are compared to the Road Warriors. They're not coming back. They're not hitting that curtain to pay this off.
Fashion Files plays. Vince hates this. He's the only one who doesn't get it. In NXT, we were trained to be good soldiers. A good soldier isn't a superstar.
Tell me, how old the baby is, how healthy the baby is.
He's very healthy. He's chubby already. I think he's probably over 15 pounds. I think the last time we weighed him, like last week, he was like 15 pounds. He's probably gained another pound since then. But he's only 11 weeks. 11 weeks now.
So not what is that? 4 months.
He was born. Yeah. He's only like over just 2 months. Right? What? Yeah. December to January. Yeah, he's only just over 2 months because he was born in November.
11 weeks is, yeah. Sorry. What's I'm a word
they do
guy.
Babies. I know they do babies in weeks, and it always like messes me up because I'm like
strange, right?
Yeah, I was like, tell me what month it is, and somehow it's not done that way. Even though in a year it'll still be a year.
When does that stop? Do you know?
I don't know, because even like I saw, what was it? I saw a sign here that was for like kids soccer or something like that, and it said like 19 months was like the earliest sign up, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, 19 months. And I was like, what is 19 months? Like, well, I guess that's a little over a year, but I'm like, a year and a half. And I was asking Birchall about it the last show we were at. And he's like, yeah, it's called Bumblebee soccer, I guess. He goes, it's more or less it's just really cute to watch babies run around and fall over a ball.
That's ridiculous. Watch. And you know, I'm sure you see like certain personality traits, you know what I mean, start to really emerge.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty surprising how early, I guess, their personality comes out. Like even him, like this week he's started to be a lot more animated. I mean, he doesn't do much, but he's starting to look more and like grab at things, and he smiles and laughs, and he kind of reacts more to things other than just like or crying.
Just like, shocked and all.
Yeah, that was like the two reactions he had before. It was like either peaceful or like shocked and then crying. So that was it. Now he gets smiley and giggly and happy and stuff.
You're like, he doesn't do shit, man. Is it a slow? This is what I've always wondered, and I'm sure it's different person to person, but is it like a gradual things change, your mentality changes, like a feel? Is it a like a the event happens and it's a feeling like you change inside, or is it slow, eased into? Or
I think for me it's definitely slow, ease into, because kind of like it's just like taking each day as it comes, right? So like kind of figuring out where we're at the start, like what I had to do. I've never handled kids, honestly.
Really?
I didn't. Yeah, and I didn't have like a little brother or like siblings
Mhm.
or, anything like that. I mean, I remember being a kid, but that's about it. And like even my interaction with kids like isn't a lot. I mean, like Brody, um,
Mhm.
like Brody Lee's kid was probably
Yeah.
the only one that I'd really actually interacted with a lot. Even during my time in WWE type of thing, but like I just never really, I didn't know what to do, and then I didn't really prepare. Like I was in the hospital like that weekend, like my wife's like whole was an ordeal. I mean, just not everything with the pregnancy was a total ordeal. So it was no surprise that that was there. But then I was like in the hospital being like, man, we're just sitting here waiting. I was like, I don't even know what to do once this kid shows up. Like, I should get an audiobook while I'm sitting here and try to figure out how to keep it, what I'm supposed to do for like the first week or something.
Are you gonna show Logan
No,
your work, like
not unless, oh, show him my like
your
wrestling and
stuff?
stuff.
Yeah.
No, I hope not to. I mean, I want him to do something way different, like just his own trip. Like, how many of us have had to deal with this bullshit? And I mean, any better. I mean, I don't have any good connections to make him $1 million in the business and set him up. You know what I mean? Like, I had a hard enough time um, still being in wrestling at this point as it is. Like, it was kind of
Mhm.
a fluke that I mean, I say it's a fluke, but it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's really weird how the timing worked out. But yeah, I hope to just be completely done and just like, Heather's my wife has said like, oh, you're gonna show him stuff. I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I barely watch what I do now. I mean, I forget. Like the last time, I mean, one of my last matches was with Jax, so like I was obviously sad and didn't want to watch that right
Mm.
away. But um, like
Jax Dane, correct?
yeah, yeah, because I'd been working with him and Tim for like the last couple months, just before that happened. So I mean, I think I had his like second and third last matches pretty much, and like I think his last match just
Golly.
aired this last week. So
Man, nice guy.
oh, the nicest. I couldn't believe it. Like when I first walked into NWA actually and like met him, and I'm like, this is like, and just as he was telling me about himself, I'm like, this is so weird that we have never met until now, And I mean, he was one of my favorites immediately upon meeting him, and once I started up with the company, like he was one of those guys I was sitting in the corner with in the locker room most of the time.
I went through the same thing when I met him. I was shocked I didn't overlap with him at all
Yeah.
because we did there was, NWA is very um OVW, DSW, Deep South
Oh,
Wrestling heavy.
100%. Yeah. That's really
And
wacky right now, like, especially,
right?
like, there is a pretty full force, especially with, like, Virtual being there and Mondo now being there. Yeah, it's just wacky. So wacky.
We took like an OVW, everybody from OVW picture, and then they did like a Deep South picture. Had to be uh a chick that organized that, I would assume. Um,
Oh, yeah, probably. When you guys were doing your stuff, yeah. It was probably
and
Mickey.
yeah, it probably was Mickey. And I was like, Jax Dane was in OVW. I had no idea.
Mm.
Um, but one of the, people pass and there's, you get a lot of people say nice things, but he seems like across the board one of those guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, oh, yeah, he was one of those tough ones where I was like, man, why did it happen on Christmas? Like, I've had too many bad things happen at Christmas that like it
Yeah.
just continuously ruined the holiday for me because I'm like, even when it's a nice holiday, you're like, oh right, my friends died today, or like my dad told me he had cancer like on Christmas, and
Right.
like these are
Is
my
that true?
yes, 100% Christmas memories. I mean, so like I used to always, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to always hate going to Canada for
Mhm.
Christmas. Like it's cold, my grandmother was miserable, that kind of.
Yeah.
It was just always like not fun. So I didn't enjoy Christmas a lot of the times being older and when I was working. And so like there was one year I don't think I'd seen my dad for like quite a while. It was like that was like from when I'd gotten signed in FCW, and so it'd probably been like 3-4 years type of thing since
Okay.
I'd seen my dad at this time, and I'd gotten some time off at Thanksgiving to go home and see him, and so and that was at American Thanksgiving, so it was like November, end of November, and I went back to then go see my mom and my grandma for Christmas, and it was Christmas Day, and I called my dad, and gives me the bad news that like, oh yeah, just like the other week I was doing whatever, and all of a sudden I just went down, took me to the hospital. No, I got cancer, and he was dead within a year. So I mean, yeah, I've never been much of a Christmas guy, and then when Brody died on Christmas, I was like, wow, what a Christmas miracle
Ah,
that is,
right. The hits keep
and then
coming.
yeah, and then this year it was like Jax, and I mean, I'd spent so much of those last few shows that I had done just hanging out with like him and Tim in the corner, and we'd been working our matches and stuff, and just having so much fun. Like it was one of those things like where like we had a younger guy kind of working with us, and
Who?
like
What?
he
May I
was
ask who it was?
Magic Jake.
Okay.
Um, Magic Jake Dumas, who I really like. I love his gimmick. Like he's got a great mind for what he does and stuff. Very good. Like I've enjoyed working with him. Um, Crap, now that I've said that, but whatever. Um,
I'll edit that out.
yeah, but we were telling him like it was one of those things, and like this could even go back to like Al Snow. Like he was one of the first people to ever say this to me, I think, and it was like, don't let a good story get in the way of a match, or like don't let a good match
Good.
get in the way of a good story, type of
Right.
thing. Because
Right.
like Tim is 60 some odd years old, and we were trying to get over a gimmick for him, and like so that was all we really spent the matches doing, and they were fun and that worked. Like the first match we had was in Philadelphia, and that in the ECW arena, and we're like, is this going to work? And it worked, and
Wow.
it kept going, and I mean, even the last one we did in Tampa it was so much fun. I mean, it was I mean, that's the only reason I'm still doing anything in wrestling is to have fun. That was
Right.
why, when I first walked into that locker room, I was like, man, it's actually like a fun environment around here. I like the people. I like watching the product. Like it's not perfect, but it's much more watchable for a guy like me. It's much more
Yeah.
fun for a guy like me. Um,
No frills. Right. Like
right. Yeah.
to the
I mean, I've
bone.
never been hey, give me an hour long promo. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, as far as I'm concerned, the last one I cared about was Mick Foley when I was in school, writing an essay about when um, it was what you'd probably remember this. It was when Mick turned because when he was getting his kicked out of, I can't remember who kicked him, but the people were cheering for Austin to come save him or whatever, and not for
Mm-hmm.
him. And he came out the week after and cut that big promo, and I think that was maybe when he became corporate Mick or something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was the last wrestling promo I ever cared about.
Wow. And that's an obscure one. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I just remember like writing. I had some sort of like English class thing that I had to do, and for some reason that was what I used for my topic. I still
Oh
remember
boy.
it.
I used to bring the pro wrestling into the English class. I have an English degree and didn't. Let's just say that the academia does not look upon
No, of
this
course
thing
not.
of ours
Of course not.
with high standards.
They don't
It
realize
goes
that some of the dumbest, meanest looking monsters are like geniuses behind the scenes.
brilliant. Yeah. It goes, I think, like um, rodeo wrestling porn.
Yeah,
For that
probably. Yeah, yeah.
matter.
I mean, they'll usually shake our hands, but they don't want to shake a porn star's hand.
That's it. And that's the only.
Yeah.
Do you find like with these different towns, you said Philly for NWA, how the Philadelphia crowd, which is notoriously fancies themselves smart and
Right.
and are vicious
Right.
at times. Are
Yeah.
you finding that no matter where you go, the crowd, because they've signed up for NWA, so they're happy to watch it, or
Yes.
they okay.
Yes. So the first while when they were starting to do different towns, you could kind of tell that they were maybe not watching the product. Like when like whoever was in the stands, like they were there because there was wrestling there, but they didn't necessarily know the product. And I've been like over the last couple times, like even just being in Texas this last time, I was like, well, that was a different crowd than last time.
Hmm.
But they all knew, like they were all smart this time. As to
Yeah.
where last time it was kind of like they were still learning people, and now it was like they just knew and they were into it. And I was like, well, that's really cool because like we'd been, I mean, we're always super far behind in the tapings, but it seems like that the crowds now are catching on, and like even Philly didn't seem like the normal Philly crowd. It was a very family oriented crowd. Like I kind of give NWA credit for that. Like I mean, their show is very family friendly for the most part. Like there's not a lot of real blood and guts or like something
Or
extreme.
raunch. I mean,
Yeah,
it got a bad rap for that one incident. That one
the
thing,
Coke spot,
the
fucking
Coke
spot.
spot with Father James Mitch. I mean, come on. Like, I mean, and that's unfortunate, right? Because what I mean, hey, they were talking about it,
Yeah, I mean, but so this is one of my funny things I think with wrestling. I noticed like somebody sent me a video from NWA the other day, but it wasn't. It was like somebody said, "Hey, watch this and let me know if it hurts my feelings or not." And I was like, "Well, why would you give a fuck if it's gonna hurt your feelings? Like, why even watch it? Like, who gives?" And so, like, I watched the video and I'm like, "Well, this guy just clearly doesn't like anything. Like, he likes the
Yeah.
girls, and that's literally it." But then, so I'm like, "Well, what else is on this guy's YouTube page?" And I'm like, "Oh, he just hates wrestling in general."
He hate watches.
Right. And I'm like, but this is pretty normal, I think, for people, right?
Mhm.
Like for fans nowadays. Like it seems like when you get wrestlers talking about wrestling, they're usually talking about what could be better or like how things could make more sense. Normal like wrestlers, they're not like, this is stupid. I hate, there might be certain things that go off with that, but they're usually trying to talk about the good and the bad, as to where
Yeah.
like so many fans nowadays just focus on like what they hate, and that's all that they put out there and all they promote for their shows. Like this one guy's thing was just nothing. All of his videos were just like, and it was every company, and like watching the video that of him like reviewing was like it was painful for him to even bring himself to review these series of shows to watch. And I was just like, then why? Like, and then I'm like looking like this guy's like 27,000 views or something like that. I'm like, there's that many people that just want to watch you talk about
Wow.
wrestling instead of just like enjoying it for what it is. Like, do you watch
Mm.
wrestling because it sucks? Like, that's weird because I don't watch wrestling because when I don't like it, I'm like, why would I continue to watch this? Why would I
Right.
continue to like make myself angry watching something or letting something like make me angry because I think it should be different? I'm not the one controlling this shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The one
I
I can
do.
control is what I'm watching.
Yeah.
So like
Good
if I
point.
hate it that much, why would I continue to watch it? Like I don't understand. Like
What
I made that conscious decision so long ago of like, wow, I'm getting pissed when I watch stuff. I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm not going to like hate on people that are, successful or getting opportunities or whatever else because I got way better things to do with my time than that
hmm
type of shit. But I mean, that's just what I see so often. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I'm kind of of the opinion, like, you know, I don't care what you say about me, just spell my name right. Like, and I
Right.
know it's difficult. It's easy to say that when nobody's talking about me. But like, there's that, you're right, that the inner circle, we talk about, or Jim Cornette, I think, talks about the three circles. The center circle will hate watch, they'll love watch, they'll just watch no matter what. Could
Right.
be, you know what I mean? You and I, throwing darts at each other's ass, and they'd watch it because it's in a
Yeah.
wrestling ring. Um, the middle circle watches when it's cool, right? When it's hot, when it's, the bloodline feud or whatever the case may be, when The
Right.
Rock comes on. And then the outer circle, the English teachers, you can't get them to
Right.
watch.
Yeah.
So you shoot for that middle ground, I would
Yeah.
think. But
I mean, Cornette's one of the only ones that I kind of like pay attention to just because I get a kick out of his stuff, you know.
yeah,
But like at the same time, like he will say, this was really good and like this was dog, you know, but he's usually pretty honest both ways. Like he's not just watching it to hate on it, you know.
yeah,
I don't think anyway, at least not from what I see, because I've seen as much positive stuff in his like I enjoy watching the little like sped up reviews that he has
yeah,
for matches because I'll be like, oh, this is cool. And like when you see what he puts over, like you're like, well, right, okay, I get that. And then you know you can see what doesn't work. I mean,
right.
but that's kind of wrestling. That's every wrestling match, right? Like you can't I mean, not every wrestling match is the masterpiece we want it to be. So
No. I think I heard it said best. It's no surprise by uh, Dream by Dusty Rhodes. So after a uh, just a marathon week of like Bourbon Street house shows in FCW, and then uh, it was one of the first or second like FCW TV tapings. And man, it was like 1:30 in the morning, just time to go.
yeah,
And somebody walks by and goes, Dream, I wanted to get your feedback on my match. He goes, it was wonderful. And he's like, oh, you saw it? He goes, baby, he goes, you seen one match, you seen them all. Some are just better than others.
right.
Said,
I mean, I can't remember half the matches I've ever had. You know what I mean? Like, and which I feel bad about. Like, I know certain people, like Tyson Kidd, like T.J. Wilson, he can remember like every spot in every match that he's ever had or ever
right.
won. Like, it's insane.
It's yeah, crazy
Yeah, and
how
I'm
his
like
brain
me.
works.
Yeah, and I can't. I've forgotten everything I've ever learned in the business, and I just now it's all like when I go to train or do something, it's just whatever my body tells me works. Like my brain has no memory of it. It just kind of like follows along, more or less. It's bizarre, and I think it's just because I did check out for so long, like, and even training people. Like, there's only certain things that like certain people can like learn at certain times, and I think what's stuck in me nowadays isn't so much of that nitty gritty technical stuff that I used to be really stuck on. There's just more of
Mm-hmm.
like the how to make a moment and that kind of thing. And a lot of students, especially starting out, you just don't get it. You know,
Right.
like there's. It's funny because I spent some time trying to tell one kid, explain it to him, you know, every which way I could, of just how like you have to make your moments with your emotion more than just by what moves you're hitting or whatever else.
Nothing.
Like
Not ready.
just didn't click. And like I'd even said to Chris, I was like, does this make sense to you? And he's like, it makes sense to me. But he's like, I was like, I thought I really dumbed that down. He's like, yeah, but it's just not there. And it's just one of those things like sometimes you can't hear it until you're ready to hear it. And that's the best way I could put it. And I was like, wow, I actually see that in effect, like not only with myself, but I can now see that in other humans. So
And you try to give them, I guess, some grace because you remember when you didn't have a clue. I do at least.
oh yeah,
But
I still barely have a clue.
right, exactly. And you know, like I oftentimes, and I don't know how you approach it. There's the here in Baltimore, there's the MCW school, so
Right.
you know, encounter all types of learning levels, and uh one of the things like I say, and it's pretty broad paintbrush stroke, I say I have never heard anybody in their first year in the business have a good idea. So just like shut up
Right.
and take it all in, right? Like because oftentimes you know how it is, they'll come up and they'll go, I got this gimmick idea, I'm gonna do this and
Right.
this, and and I go, first, okay, a few things. Number one, um if if it's if it's like a Dragon Ball Z gimmick or some that's your hobby, keep that at home, please.
Right.
Because like I think we've lost the plot, so to speak, as they say across the pond, and who this is for. It's for the audience, not for us, not
Right.
for
But I mean,
right.
I don't think it is anymore. It's changed a lot. I mean, I feel like I've really been kind of trying to pay attention to the age gap difference, right? Because like guys like you and me don't feel like we're old guys, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're still,
Right.
I don't know. We probably want to think we're kind of hip, like we're still paying attention to
Mhm.
stuff. Like I don't feel like I'm where my dad was at my age, type of thing. But then, like when I look at it and see what is aimed at that next generation that's like now in their mid 20s and whatever else, I can see the differences, and I can see the mentality differences, and it's wacky. Like I can't quite put my words on it, but just like that's about it. I can see the generational differences that remind me all the time now. Like, oh, the world is no longer geared towards me, type of thing. Like
Mhm.
there's certain things that are like a lot of our pop culture stuff, like we get so much stuff we like because all of us that grew up loving the pop culture that we did are now at
Yeah.
that age where we're all creating that stuff, right? But
Right.
now there's also that next generation of like the 20-year-olds and whatnot that's coming up, and they're starting to form the next generation worth of things, that's out there. And I think they seem like, even from the students I've seen, they're all a little more fun loving, I want to say. Most of the students like that we deal with, especially in Death Proof, are all like really good kids, and they're not like 19, 20 years old type of thing. Like they're
Okay.
mid 20s to 30s. We've got one student even who's like I think he's a little bit older than me. That type of thing. So like there's a good range, and like they're not kids, but it's still seeing that the differences between us. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's funny just because you say the Dragon Ball thing, and I'm like, yeah, remember Cody Carnage, Karn
Yeah.
Alexander, my
Yeah.
protege. He's back at OVW. That kid still works out in Dragon Ball Z. So, and I mean, he's
Ah.
been around the world acting now. He's actually teaching some of the promo stuff at OVW, I know, and whatnot. And he's a grown man, but that's, you know what I mean. He's that millennial generation, and that's the funny difference with him. And that's why I say it's more fun loving. They're just a little more peaceful. They're a little more funny. That's the best. That, and at least in the positive aspect of things, I would say.
We might be the last pirate ship
Right.
generation. I think.
Oh,
I, you all right?
yeah, my computer's telling me a low battery, but it's plugged in.
Do you have a plug?
Yeah, I sure do. Why is it not? Where?
You know, the fiddle. Look at
Yeah,
that.
must just
Yeah,
need a little
handsome,
fiddle.
handsome
I know,
bloke behind you.
good hair and everything.
Golly.
You'd see if I had it all the way up, you'd be able to see my junk.
Who got those, mate? Was that Kenobi?
No, it was Alfred. If you remember
Alfred.
Alfred. Yeah,
Yeah.
Alfred. I can't remember if his in my phone. It's still there. It says Alfred Simpson, and I have no idea if that's his real last name or not.
Yeah, I like so. One of the ways I've kind of like talked to some of the kids when they're gung ho about an idea or a gimmick, and it's year one. I go, you don't. You're better off black trunks, white trunks, plain Jane plain, because imagine this. You imagine you have a good idea. Imagine this gimmick is good, and you're the
Yeah,
person for it. You don't have the bandwidth
right.
to pull it off. So you go out and you do it, and you don't execute properly. You can never do it again, or somebody sees it that can execute,
And they steal it. Yeah.
lifts it. How many times have we seen that? So usually, I don't know, man. It's tough. There was one guy was like, hey, he said he's only watches match highlights, like I almost said Vine, but like TikTok,
Right. Yeah, I
TikTok
get you.
matches.
Yeah.
He's never seen a full match before he signed up.
Well, that's wild. Well, I guess there was one of the kids that came into our school, and I was like, "What? Like, did you grow up watching wrestling or anything?" And he was like, "No." He's like, "I just saw it on TV one day, and then went to like an indie show, and then I met one of the kids that went to your school, so I signed up.
How bizarre.
And I was like, that's all. I'm like, how old? And he was almost 30. And I was just like, he did not. And this kid, very gifted, but he doesn't look like Scott Norton. You know what I mean? Like walking
Yeah.
in at 30, like I would have thought he's actually like about 20 years old is what he looks like. And even then when you kind of talk to him and you see like what do they like about wrestling, and then sometimes it's like pulling teeth. And I'm just blown away because I'm like, man, the only reason I was in wrestling is because I loved wrestling. Like that was it. I couldn't see myself doing anything else whatsoever.
It's the next logical step, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was no other choice for me. So
I'm going to stalk these people or I'm going to become a wrestler.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, just nowadays, I mean, we're so accessible. Like everything's so
Yeah.
accessible nowadays, right? Like it's just unreal. So, I mean, I guess that's one of the things for the generations too now. They can find absolutely anything, anytime, anywhere. So
That's why so many like little niche it's the day of like the niche product. And
right.
I feel like you said, anybody can find anything anywhere. There's also that weird, how do I say this? There's that weird like for the sweet souvenir, getting your picture taken with guys you
Right.
worked, or like I remember when I was coming up, and I'm I everybody kind of knows the people that you came up with, in the sense that like they're infamous, some of them.
Right.
Who's some of the people that brought me up. It was like, you don't take pictures with them, you mark. Don't be a mark.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was playing the SmackDown versus Raw and asked one of those people if he wanted to play, and he was like, play video games. There's no wrestling psychology. Last time I played a wrestling video game, it was like I was 18. That was it. I was done. Because I wanted so desperately to do it correctly.
Right. I know it ruined it for me too, because I used to play all the games and stuff, and then I got to a point where I'm like, oh, none of this makes sense. I'm just doing stupid moves. All I'm trying to do is hit the power bomb. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Just trying to hit the power bomb and win. Want to pile drive somebody. That's about it.
So we might as well get into it. Your early start, and I'm not sure how many people know this because it's kind of a well-kept secret, as you were at one point one of wrestling's best kept secrets. That you, and I used to use this little soundbite on commentary. You were the last survivor of the infamous Hart family dungeon. And so when did you start there? When did the dungeon shut down officially? Tell me about that.
October 13th, 1999 was actually the day I moved to Calgary from my little town of Grand Prairie, Alberta, to start wrestling. So yeah, now it's been over 25 years. It's crazy. Wow. I've now been wrestling longer than I was alive at the time I started wrestling. So, which was, when that hit me, I was like, oh, that's why I feel. But yeah, that was where I started. Like when I was growing up in northern Alberta. Grew up on Stampede and WWF TV. That was what I saw. But like Stampede used to come through. I was trying to find something else to do. Like I dropped out of high school, or I was a bum, but I was working and stuff like that. I had a decent job at the time. But I just wanted to do something else. Like all my friends were like musicians or artists, whatever else. But like a bunch of us still like loved wrestling. We'd always party and like kind of backyard wrestle in a much safer fashion, I have to say, than most of the other people we saw on TV. Like even the crazy did. We usually set it up pretty good. Like this was way before cell phones, like we weren't even filming that stuff. We would have been, jackass internet famous back then, but whatever. But yeah, I wanted out of the town that I lived in. I knew I wanted to do something. Like I was really passionate about wrestling. And I just thought, oh, maybe I could try to find somewhere to wrestle. And like it's so wacky because like I can literally look at everything and be like, the timing on that's just fate. Like it's a weird thing because the dungeon had not been open or running for I think like a decade or longer or something at that point in time, and they had just started up Stampede Wrestling and reopened the dungeon right as I was pretty much looking to get into wrestling because I'd been looking at like Shawn Michaels camp, the Ultimate Warrior,
Oh boy.
Malenko's. Like that was what I was finding online, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know, I was like probably like thinking the Malenkos were going to be the one I was going to try to go with, and then I had two different friends actually see the thing on the news of the dungeon and like Bruce Hart training people again and Stampede starting up again.
It was
They
Bruce.
were,
Bruce was
yeah,
the head
Bruce was the
trainer.
head coach, yeah, head trainer and stuff. So like I'd spent, you know, my good, you know, while beginning with him, training with him, wound up working him on shows quite often, which was always interesting. I mean, my time in Stampede, I mean, I love it. Like it's so funny when I look back at all the crazy, wacky that would go on in Stampede, and it was such like a world of its own. Like Bruce was uh, a character unlike any others, and I mean, I always gave him credit because like he trained me very well as to like how to protect myself and protect my body, and I've always laughed about it because he'd have a story about certain moves that like, oh, this asshole like did this to me doing this or did that to me there or whatever else. And in my travels around the world, I think I met every one of those guys he called assholes that tried to hurt him, and they all told me why. And I
Wow.
completely understood because of how Bruce was. Because Bruce was just like he was a bad prankster. You know what I mean? He'd always pull bad jokes on people, and he was the only one that thought they were funny.
Like a little too dark. Some of
Yeah,
the jokes.
yeah. I mean, it was just kind of like mean stuff too. Some of
Yeah.
the time, I mean, you know, that's how like old wrestlers like some of them I
Right.
thought was funny. It was like not funny. Um,
Brutal.
yeah,
You were like,
and
who's this
so
for?
right. I
What's your
mean,
audience here? Like
yeah,
sociopaths?
exactly. Yeah. So
Bundy.
it's wacky that kind of stuff. But so I mean that prepared me pretty good. I mean, by the time I got down to the States and started coming into OVW and everything else. But I mean, I'd spent also a few years training with Tokyo Joe. Like that was probably the biggest thing. Also, that came from me being in the dungeon was like meeting him and training with him. So I mean, I had a world of great wrestling teachers when I started
Yeah.
out. Like it was amazing. Being in Canada, like it's funny thinking about it because like it was really respected back then. And even when I came to OVW, it was still really well respected. And because like Rip used to fire up sometimes when I do whatever I was doing, lighting somebody up in the ring. Like that's some Calgary right there. Yeah, like, it was
Yeah.
always cool to like hear him say that. And unfortunately, it was the Benoit stuff that basically, once I even got to WWE when I signed, that was why it was not talked about anymore. It's like Regal used to put it over on NXT, and they even told him to stop because like he knew where I was from and stuff. And so that was kind of what did it. Because by the time this was long before I was in Ascension, like Kenobi had come to me and been like, "You can never say this again. Like, just drop it. Like, they don't care. They don't want to hear it. Never bring it up again." And so I literally,
That you were from the dungeon
yeah, yeah,
because
I
of
think,
Benoit.
yeah. As far as I know,
I don't know. I don't understand that math. I mean,
they didn't want the. I think there was still that stigma to it. Like after that happened, like it was still, even though it was only like a few years, I guess, in between, like I don't know, 4 or 5 years. That was
yeah.
still the thing because it was. I can remember when Regal came up to me. I mean, I know it was at NXT and it was early NXT, and I can't remember if it was when I was with Connor yet or not. And he told me that they specifically told him to not reference me
The
being from the
dungeon.
dungeon again. And I can't remember if he asked me why but I remember him telling me that was what they had told him to not say. So,
Man,
yeah.
we were, if you recall, Benoit was there for OVW Kentucky Kingdom
Right.
10
And I
days
missed,
before.
yeah. And I missed that. I didn't, because that was before I was kind of like in, I don't know, like I was there, but like still, getting my toes in the door even. So, yeah, because that was like within the first couple weeks I was there. I'll never forget because I was at, what was it, Louisville Athletic Club. I walked in and EC3 was in the corner staring at the TV. And it was like a report about it. And he just looks at me and he's like, "Your heroes will always let you down."
Oh man, I love that guy. He's
Yeah.
so interesting. It's not wrong though. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's almost 100% run true with every one of them I met otherwise, though. I mean, there's very few that weren't, I don't know, egotistical, I guess, but that's wrestling.
that's wrestling. So that's where our paths intersected, and you arrive on the scene, Louisville, Kentucky, on your own dime. This is back in the days of, I guess, where'd you get there? 2006, 2007.
7, yeah, it was like May or April or May
Okay.
2007.
And
Yeah.
it's there were levels, right? You had your contract class. Al
Yeah.
Snow was the head trainer, and then Robert Gibson. For a while, you'd have kind of your
That was quite the contrast when I got there. Wow, let
wow.
me tell you. I'm sure, well, firsthand as well. But yeah, I never forgot walking up to Al Snow and being, I really liked Al Snow at that time. I was a big fan. And then I met him.
Mm.
And I was like, man, did I have shit on me or something? Like that's how I felt after meeting him. And then like the next day, I think we were in like E Town and I met Robert Gibson and I was like, well, that was night and day.
What'd you do that for?
Yeah, because he was just like, "Hey kid, how you doing? Where are you from? Oh, you're from Calgary. Holy shit, blah." And it was just like talking to an old buddy.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and I mean, I get along fine with. I mean, it's been years since I've seen him now, but that was the first impression at the time was definitely night and day.
It was, if you came to OVW without a contract, non-tracked, and you would if you had experience, and man, we were fortunate. Like, that was a promised land at the time.
Yeah.
You could go there, cut your teeth, learn to work TV, and holy shit, if you played your cards right and busted your ass, you may get a deal.
Yeah.
And I felt so lucky because I was able to float back and forth between contract and non-contract without a contract.
Right.
The classes, because they needed like somebody to interview people for the promo days and whatnot. And I I'll never forget, like, Rip always had obviously a huge class.
Yeah.
But there were always those guys that stood out, and you knew who they were because they were getting dark matches, which is non-televised match,
Right.
or put over matches, enhancement, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
On TV days. And they featured heavily in Derby City Wrestling, which was taped Thursdays.
Right.
And that was Rip's television show.
Well, because that started not too long after I got there. That's what was kind of funny was that wasn't running before. And I think once that did, that was what filled Rip's class. Like that was when
Yeah.
it started coming. Because I'll never forget. I've never seen that many people in a wrestling school.
Crazy.
Yeah, just like because that arena was filled with people. Like they put, they only had one ring, but like there was mats all around, like everywhere that there was concrete possible, there was mats on the ground. Everybody was working and wrestling and learning. And like it was wild.
There were the guys that were at the top of the class, the head of the class. And you knew it again. Also because Danny Davis would talk about them, and you were one of those guys. And I remember guys like Joey Mercury and just various guys of that commanded some respect were talking about you being the real deal. And OVW's was difficult to find your footing for a while. Can you talk to me about the obstacles you encountered early on in that period of time?
Yeah. I mean, OVW is funny because like I guess I've actually had this conversation with a few other people, but even though it was like Danny ran it the way Danny ran it, the WWE universe, as we know, even back then, is a completely different universe. Like it's not like indie wrestling. It's not like wrestling in England. It's not like wrestling in Japan. It's not like wrestling in Mexico. They have their own way of doing things. And so no matter what you think you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've seen it both probably through OVW, FCW, but guys come in who have been around, done some shit. They go to have their first match and they don't remember how to wrestle anymore. Type of thing.
Right.
I mean, I can remember the first day I got into Rip's class to do high spot warm up or something. And I happened to get in the ring with Sin, who also a Canadian that I'd never met before. And
you guys aren't all next door neighbors?
No, because he's from East Coast. So like East Coast,
Yeah,
West
yeah,
Coast,
right.
like you never met. You're a million miles apart.
Kizarny, we're talking about. Yeah,
Yes,
makes
yeah,
sense. And Bodie.
yes, yeah. And I was really excited to finally meet him because like I'd heard about him from other friends.
Great guy.
So this is something I was, happens within the developmental systems, and that's people are paranoid. So they're not friendly anymore.
Here we
When I
go.
first met Nick, I was real friendly to him, and he sure was not friendly to me. But nonetheless, fine now, many years later. But yeah, we get in to run that high spot, and I was like, the spot? Because I didn't know what the spot was. I was trying to pay attention. I can't remember it anymore either. It was a weird little spot that Rip had, but it was a really good one. And we did something and it got fucked up. And dang, get the fuck out. I was just like, what? And I mean, I'd been through some pretty brutal training with Tokyo Joe. He definitely knew how to make us feel like. But I mean,
dressing you down, so to speak.
Yeah, there was something different about getting kicked out of the ring after hearing that bell ring. Be like, get the fuck out. And I was like, what? And we don't even get to try to fix it? Nope, get the fuck out. Next.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's one of the things. There was so many people there at that time. So many people trying to get on the show, get over with Rip, whatever it was. You know what I mean? It was just like a huge melting pot. And, I think my gimmick at the time was just not cool. I wasn't caught up. It was Apocalypse wearing a cloak and then whatever, I was for some reason, I'm dark. I don't know anything else. I'm going to wear a cape that my mom made me. For some reason, 7 years in, that's what I'm still
sweet.
doing. Right? Yeah, it was a nice cape, very nice clothes.
Yeah. I wish I had known that. I wish you had given that to me at the desk.
Yeah,
drop that in.
Yeah, but I mean, that turned into some fun stuff with Barton Alexander and whatnot.
You dumped a man. You had a man in a bag.
That was Fang.
That was Fang.
Put Fang in a bag. Yeah,
a boy named Fang.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had to do some fun stuff there. But even that took a while. That kind of didn't start to happen until, man, almost kind of the end of DCW, I want to say. That was kind of right before the contract. People were all pulled out and moved away, where I was actually at that point of doing stuff. Because that's what was kind of funny. I remember watching when you used to be able to, when they were on the same night, you'd watch DCW end. And so, I would be Apocalypse on DCW with Karn doing something. And then all of a sudden, it would switch to OVW and it'd be Eric Doom wrestling, against Kevin Ferdig or Oleg, something like that. I remember having a couple of those matches.
A couple of the Olegs.
Yeah, I only had one with him, but it was good. I like Oleg. He was great.
Yeah.
He was one of those. And I mean, even back then when I worked with Ferdig, I remember Al told him afterwards, he was like, "That was a way better match than you should have had with him." You know, wasn't the first or last time I'd hear that from a producer.
Yeah. You know, I think Snowman was fed up kind of. I think it was just like when you book that long, you have to book that long. You gotta the boys are a pain in the ass.
Right. I
To
mean,
some extent. But you didn't have that coming. You're like, I just got here. What did I do?
I mean, I just shut up and listen. Like I didn't,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, okay, if I'm with the contract guys, like I'm lucky to be here. You know what I mean? I'm lucky to get an enhancement match against somebody on OVW TV. Like I never complained about it. Even like when Al named me Eric Doom, I went, all right, fuck, I'm Eric Doom. Like,
Right.
I don't give a shit. Like I'm here to wrestle, so that's what I'm going to do. I mean, that I guess that's probably been my problem everywhere. Is I'm just there to wrestle. So when you're just there to wrestle, you just go to wrestle. You're not really the squeaky wheel, you know, trying to do anything else. I mean, I think OVW eventually taught me that I had to be more than just the wrestler to get anywhere. Because by the time I was in FCW, I mean, I was well prepared for most of the bullshit that I had to endure. You know, but it was the same. It was just the same process. So it was just more aggravating. But I was much more prepared for it because it wasn't like somebody was spoon feeding you like, hey, this is what you need to do. Not that that was how Danny or Rip or Al ever was, but they at least were available to teach that to you. And once you were actually in real developmental where, you know, you're getting paid and getting a job, that's a lot more of a game than just being good at wrestling. I mean, Dr. Tom used to give me all the time. He's like, yeah, you can wrestle. Who cares? Show me something else. You know, and it used to fuck me up. Like it would mess me up. Like we're wrestling. Like you're gonna tell me that like I can't be a wrestler? Like CM Punk's a wrestler, right? Like Randy Orton's a wrestler, right? Like Undertaker's the Undertaker, but he's still a wrestler. Like, so are we not here to do wrestling? No, not you. But you know, but that's like the kind of mind that you get. Because like Dr. Tom was actually the one that kind of put it to me best. And it's so true because he said, you know, like when I got signed, what did I finally have to do? Did I get signed based off my wrestling? No. Johnny Ace had already seen me wrestling and not hired me. He came back a year later and had cut my hair, had shaved my face, and I had an interesting conversation with him that got me hired. It had nothing to do with my wrestling. So when I walked into FCW, even though Dr. Tom knew me, he didn't even recognize me. So
wow.
then so then what happened, I started to revert to the way I looked that Dr. Tom originally knew me. What happened when that happened? We don't like your face.
We don't like your face. Legitimate conversation, yeah.
Legitimate conversation with Ty
no
Bailey.
feelings.
Yeah,
they don't give a shit. Business.
Johnny Ace doesn't like this. I'm like, there's only so much I can do about this, bro. Like, you guys aren't paying me that much right now, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's a legit conversation I had. So what do I do? Cut my hair, shave my face again. Then, like, because Dr. Tom had said this at this point, because I was like, what the you know, these mind games are bull. He goes, this always happens. You're basically getting told this because you're doing good, and they don't have anything else to tell you because there's nothing for you to go up and do. Like, we don't have who you are as a character. You know what I mean? Like, you're really good, you look good, but we don't know what to do with you. So this is always the process.
Yeah.
More often than not, the process is you will go through the wheel of being told that what you already are doesn't work. And you're going to slowly like get pulled away from it. And it's going to eventually come back around and you're going to be doing exactly what you're already doing by the time you make it. But you have to go through the circle.
No way through it but through it.
Yeah. And so
Pardon me.
Right there
he is.
That guy.
Rick Viktor.
To the Ascension, which was what I was basically already doing before I was there. But that took like 3 years or something to get to that point. That was just an FCW. So, I mean.
So I'd like to get to the Ascension here in a moment, but before we do that, can you talk a little bit about that conversation that with John, how in OVW, actually want to put a pin in that. I remember some of my favorite matches to call were you and Von Lilas. Von Lilas was a big, tall, I don't even know
Still
who
a
I'd
big
compare
tool.
him to. Old school throwback kind of guy.
Yeah, he's very much like he almost reminds me of the guy that played the Berserker, but like trimmed it down a bit.
John
They
Nord?
just, yeah, feel like they like similar face, right? Because like they're
Interesting.
both
Yeah.
so tall, they kind of have that same build. Like
Right.
Lilas's hair was never that long, but when I try to think of somebody that like kind of looks like how he looks
Yeah.
and the facial features, that's who I remember. But yeah, those
That's
were
very
some of my
so
favorite matches ever that I do still remember.
I loved calling those matches. I loved that they were in the Davis Arena because they were so goddamn physical.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we beat the shit out of each other.
let's not get it twisted. Like, if you look back at those matches, it was right when the circus left town. WWE picked up the tent poles. They hit
Yeah,
the road with. I don't know if the people at home or listener or watching can quite understand what a shock to the territory and system that was.
yeah,
Literally 2/3 of the entire roster, and these are the people that were on TV, or there was that sense of, oh, these are the
yeah,
stars,
yeah.
had left.
Mm-hmm.
And overnight, OVW had to build new stars.
Yeah.
And they leaned on old ones as well, like Dinsmore, Conway, and then
Oh, yeah.
they had to build new ones like yourself,
Yeah.
Von Lilas. And if you look at the crowd, and it's no fault of your own because the matches were incredible.
Mm.
It's just the people they left with the
Well, we kept the doors open,
you
thankfully.
kept the door right, exactly.
Because I mean, at first it got really dismal, and kind of by the end of that feud, it had picked up. Like that was the thing. It was like the people were like, "Oh, OVW's not going anywhere," because like we worked a lot of shows where and I mean the town shows that we would run around there and stuff. Where yeah, it got really bad for a while, but we always just kept working. Like everybody there, that whole roster, like they went to work. Everybody did,
Yeah.
like from top to bottom, because nobody, like the only people that didn't care, they left the day that OVW like pulled out. Because I can remember Danny saying like, if anybody wants to go, just go, because they're gone. And there was like one guy that got it, and that was it. And
I
everybody.
wonder who that was. I don't remember.
Was
Do you remember?
Jason Static.
Jason Static?
I
Oh my
believe
God.
so, because
Yeah,
he was doing a gimmick with the Rose on TV, and
That's
I can remember like there was something like Pops put in like a Rose segment with something Karn did, and then like Static storyline was like gone after that. Like that was it. And I think now he's running something in Orlando, is what I was told. I think
Why
that's
not
the
wait?
same guy. Yeah,
Why
it's
not wait
very
till
random
after
that
the
I can remember
meeting?
that. I don't know, but that is so fucking hilarious. Just like, what? All right, I'm out. Like, bye. Like, just got up and walked out. I get it.
Like, don't bury yourself in front of the like. Oh boy.
I mean, some people like this business. Like, I'll never forget in FCW. I helped with the tryout, one of the first tryouts that they had while I was there. And so there was
Meaning,
people
like the
there.
talent, signed talent would be like
Oh, yeah. So I was like a
coaches,
guest coach to like help
right?
people like warm up and run the drills and all that kind of. And so like this was the one that like Sarah Amato, like AKA Sarah Del Rey, Jimmy Jacobs, I mean Angelo Dawkins. Like there
Wow.
was a bunch of guys that all wound up that are still there now. But so there was and Sasha was there, and then there was like Mercedes Monet, and there was a girl who worked who was recruited from WWE headquarters in Connecticut.
Stop it.
She gets signed with
Stop it.
all these other people. sweet girl. I really got along well with her. She made me laugh. But this was
I think I know who you're talking about.
one of the funniest things ever because like after I don't know 2 months there, she looked at me and she's like, "This is bullshit. I don't know how any of you put up with this because this is the dumbest shit anybody could ever do." Like something along those lines. She's like, "I quit. I'm out." And she went back to work at headquarters.
Good for her.
But I mean, like people that don't. If you're not passionate about wrestling, you're not going to stick around.
Not gonna make
shit,
it.
Like I mean, now it's a lot different. So you don't have to jump through the hoops that a lot of us did. It's just a different game nowadays.
I always think like how success is measured now.
By your
Is it
followers, right?
some people, right? Like, is success measured by being a household name, selling out arenas, buy rates, things like that? Is merch, or is success measured? There's other people that measure success by how much money you make versus the dates you work and working with your friends.
Yeah.
It's interesting. To me, I just the two trains of thought.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like wrestling is it's entertainment, so it's all ego driven, right? Like everybody's wants to be the star. Everybody wants to be the center of attention. Like when you get out into that ring and you get in front of the camera, you're getting your 15 minutes, and all you should really give a shit about is you getting over and connecting with the people in whichever way you need to, right? So the thing is, when you work with places that are telling you how you're allowed to work or what you're allowed to do, then when you're somebody who just loves wrestling and wants to wrestle, you got to dumb yourself down. Like not everybody can be, like Steve Kern, who, when somebody in the back at whatever WrestleMania that was said, "I'm not fucking having a 5-minute match at WrestleMania or whatever," and he went, "I'll have a 2-minute match," and so he got the payday, and it was an in and out. Right? Not everybody wants to do that. But that's what the job is. Like it's unfortunately with WWE or in that kind of light, it's not. I mean, it's just like what can they do with you? What do they want to do with you? So like how, I mean, like your success. I mean, I don't know. You're so ego driven with stuff. Like you'll never really measure your success as satisfying unless I don't know your ego is gratified. I mean, the problem is like I know I've heard a bunch of guys say this, but when you go to work there, you have to go ready to fight every day because you got to fight for whatever you think you want or what you think you should be doing, and whatever you go in fighting for might not be what you come out with. Like you might get something somewhere down the road, but like you're going to go in to fight every single day, and that's very hard to do. It makes a lot of people miserable. So, I measure the success nowadays on how happy are you doing in the business? How much can you help other people doing what you're doing in the business? I mean, I was always told you're supposed to leave it better than you found it. I don't think I've done that yet. I know I didn't leave the WWE locker room better than I found it. I don't think. But I mean, that wasn't my choice when I got to leave it either. Right. So, at least now with coaching and the little bit that I do at NWA, I feel like is doing that. And it's so much more enjoyable. But I mean, the attitudes I've also found I'm dealing with nowadays are so much more enjoyable. People aren't as miserable. The older talents that I'm around and the younger ones all seem to have a much different and more positive attitude because they don't. Nobody wants to deal with negativity in mind.
See, let's go. Let's touch on that because being from the developmental system of WWE and logging in a lot of time there, which you certainly did. And I think what an interesting journey you had because again, 2008. It was February 2008. WWE left OVW, and there's a period there where you're keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
And I left in a few months after they left WWE. That is, and got the call to be Dusty's assistant in
That's
April
right.
of 2008. I was
Right.
freaking out though when they left. I was like, oh god, like, I'm done.
Right.
You know, like, and to that point, you, I believe, went home for a minute, and
Yeah.
then
I went home for a year. I went back to Calgary for a year.
what was that conversation with John where you changed everything? Can you touch on that?
Yeah, it was the shit. It's one of those things, like, you go to be an extra for a couple days, and I mean, it had been, I don't know, just over a year since I'd had my tryout, and they'd said no. And I mean, I was kind of surprised, even because when I reached out to Ty Bailey, he was like all positive to me, because I think the last conversation I'd had with Ty Bailey before that didn't seem too positive. When I got turned down, it was really weird.
Was it gutting?
No, because I felt like something happened, like, that was out of my control
Ooh.
when I didn't get hired after my tryout. I mean, I wasn't the demographic they were particularly afterwards, but I think, and I know now that Jericho did get in a fight with Laurinaitis about it, because, like, he'd heard about my tryout with my match with TJ and some stuff about me, and he, without even meeting me, he'd pushed for me, and I think Laurinaitis just got turned off by how many people were telling him to hire this no-name kid from Calgary, right? So I didn't get
Yeah.
signed because it was weird. I just remember when I talked to Ty, like, there wasn't like a good excuse. So nonetheless, fast forward a year later, come to Raw and SmackDown, enjoy catering and saying hello to everybody I haven't seen in a year, type of thing. Because, like, now it's weird. Like, I can remember the first time I was an extra and didn't know anybody other than, like, Colt Cabana, and now I'm
Yeah.
saying hi to Sheamus and everybody, type of thing, right? And, like, all the other Calgary guys I know are like, oh man, like, I can know everybody now. And I'm like, well, I was kind of trying to get in for 3 years. You meet people. But so yeah, nothing happens. SmackDown Natty's telling me, like, you got to go talk to Johnny. I'm like, about what? Like, he doesn't want to hire him. She goes, just go say thank you. Okay, just go say thank you. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Like, I'll go do that.
Because weird shit has happened.
Right. So I go to knock on his door. Another guy that's I got hired actually that same day. I can hear him cutting this promo on Johnny, like, right after I knocked, and, like, Ty Bailey had opened the door, and he's like laughing and giggling. He's like, just wait, we'll be with you in like a few minutes. Like, all right, cool, Ty. And so, like, they open the door finally, and this guy comes out, and they're all laughing, smiling, having the best time. Wow, okay, maybe they're in good moods. So I go in, and Ty Bailey says to me, he goes, so here's your 5 minutes. Tell John why he should hire you. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize this was like an interview. I was just coming in to say thank you for having me the past 2 days. It's been nice to be back and, see everybody again and stuff. I appreciate it. But I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, John, like, you turned me down a year ago. I've done all the stuff that you asked me to do, that you criticized about, that you didn't like. Like, you didn't like my beard, I shaved. Didn't like my hair, I cut it. You didn't like my gear, I changed that too. I go, I mean, I can work, where I'm from, who vouches for me, type of thing. I really don't know what else to tell you. And he goes, did you bring me a package, kid? I said, no, I didn't bring you a package. Oh, what? Like, you do all this and you can't even be bothered to bring me like a package of you wrestling, some new
I
promo
got your
pics?
package right here.
I said, no, I know you don't look at that anyway.
Cool, yeah,
You're not
nice.
going to watch like
Nice.
an indie wrestling match of mine from Winnipeg. Like, I know you don't watch it. Like, why would I bring that? I go, I spent the last money that I had from the job I just got laid off that I could come here for to buy this nice suit to walk around backstage. That was what I spent my money on, John, not a promo picture.
Yeah.
And so then it was like wham, 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 like just like
Sparring.
shit, like not even like it was just me being like boom, 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 because he just
Oh, you were taking the licks.
yeah, he just tore into me about why the f- you hire me after all the guys like me, dime a dozen, blah blah blah. I eventually checked out, like mentally in my head. I was like, I'm never wrestling again. It was actually where I went to while he was talking to me, and I was like literally thinking like I had the image of like going home and just throwing my boots in the garbage, and I was so sick of wrestling. All my interactions with him at that point had been these shits. He had never been cool. He was always so egotistical and shitty to all the non-talent people at that point in time, and I was just disgusted. I was like, "That's it." I was like, "I'm about to be 30 years old. I'm about to go home and never wrestle again." So
I gotta lick his boots to get
yeah. That was literally where my brain went to, and then he kind of stopped shitting on me, and he looked at me and he was like, if you were me sitting here right now, why would I hire you? And I said, I wouldn't. I go, obviously, there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to tell you otherwise, but like, you've just given me 100 reasons why you don't want to hire me. So, like, what do you want me to say? Like, you don't want to hire me. I couldn't say why, if I were you, that you would. And I just sat there and we just stared at each other for a minute. And he put his head down, like, and just like, and like looks up at me. He looks over at Ty Bailey, looks back at me. He goes, "Yeah, Ty, give this kid a job. Welcome to WWE." And he like gets up, shakes my hand, and like walks out of the room.
What? Oh, come on. Okay.
I swear to God, that's exactly.
I know. I believe. I totally
what
believe
happened.
you.
Like I couldn't make it up. Yeah. And then Ty looks at me and he goes, "Good thing you caught him in a good mood."
Oh my goodness. So, did you feel the tide turning in that quiet moment? What were you thinking?
I was done.
You're done.
This is done. I was really mad actually at that point in time. I was just trying not to let him know how
be unprofessional.
Yeah. Because he was such a dick. Like I'll say that now. Because like when I actually worked with him, when I got up on the main roster, he's great.
Yeah.
Loved him. One of the best producers I could actually work with. I loved working with him once I was up there and signed. But until that point, couldn't have given a fuck about, anybody else that wasn't signed to deal with that type of thing. Like one day he sat down at the table with like a bunch of the extras from OVW and sat there and put himself over for like 10, 15 minutes while he was eating. like as if we didn't know who he was.
Right.
Thing, And I was just like, and I mean, he was so like just mean to people.
Yeah.
Time and I was really turned off by the business. So in that moment when it was just like, oh, welcome to WWE, it was kind of like, what the just happened? Like, oh.
And never mind F, right? Like,
yeah. They never really stopped. Yeah.
Because, they're in that situation. You're not a political guy. You're just, not your strong suit. And that situation really shows that you're an honest guy, though.
No.
You're straight up honest guy. And that, man, like, that goes a long way too. Because a lot of the job is, do I want to be around this guy 60 hours a week? Do I want to be traveling the roads with this guy?
Right.
And I'm just trying to put myself in his shoe, like, a developmental contract, no skin off his ass, right? It's no skin off the company's ass. So
that's just mind blowing, like too, especially when I get to FCW and look around at the time. And I mean, there's a lot of awesome talent there. And then there's people that are like,
yeah,
how did you get here? And
these Batista's Gardner. Whatever.
Almost actually, yeah. There's a few things like that. And like all I could think of too, because at first, like walking into FCW and you see the people who like don't have any business in being there. All I could think of was like all those people that were killing themselves at OVW to try to get a shot and like couldn't even get a sniff type of thing. You know what I mean? And it just blew me away at how the system works. But like, I guess I get it now for the most part. I understand it, but it's still wow. Like, you know, the system that happened before us obviously wasn't much better, you know, but the journey that is pro wrestling, it's something else, and it's not a very forgiving one.
Not at all. It certainly also just, I mean, there's something to be said for being battle hardened and shaping you into the man
Right.
and performer you are.
Right. I mean, it is wacky to me. Like it's one of those things. Like I'm getting older, you kind of have like certain awakenings where you're like, how did I wind up here? And I can
Yeah.
connect all the dots now, and it's really weird because you're like, you know, maybe at these points I had a different choice, but this is what I was pulled to do. So every step of the way, when you can look back at it, especially at this point in time, it all makes sense, and it's weird how it just all fell into place for whatever reason.
You arrive in FCW before it turned to NXT, still in Tampa, correct?
Yep. Yep.
And you become Rick Victor.
Yeah.
If people have gone to YouTube and looked at the FCW archives, you're one of the guys. There he is. God,
Yeah, man.
look at that.
There's some good matches. I had some good matches with Seth and
Yeah.
that I think are still online.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's a couple of them. I mean, I worked a lot of stuff against Seth that I guess is never going to be seen, but that was one of the biggest pushes I could ask for. But that was still at that time where they were like, we don't know who this guy is. So
Yeah.
you know, sure you look like $1 million, but what does that do for us?
Right.
I needed a fuzzy coat was what I
You need yeah. So yeah, just to explain that, one of the inside
Well, it's like the analogy of
jokes.
two like Dustin Rhodes and Gold Dust. You know, like how long was Dustin being Dustin for?
Before
And,
yeah.
you know, and he was always good, you know, but just people weren't. I mean, that's how it was explained to me was people didn't, you know, sink their teeth in until all of a sudden he was Gold Dust. So that was, you know, same with, and you know, Joey Mercury always used the fuzzy coat thing because he said, you know, nobody gave what I did until I put on that stupid fuzzy
my
coat.
fur coat.
Yeah, and so that was what it was. Because I can remember when I, you know, finally after all the bullshit got into Ascension, you know, I remember saying, putting on my coat one day in front of him and being like, "Well, it ain't fuzzy," he goes, but it works.
So the Ascension occurred because there was some things that had to happen there.
I was version 5. I was trying to get in on it forever.
Yeah.
You know, because there was originally like Orlando Colon, Tom Latimer, Shaul Guerrero, Connor, and Ricardo Rodriguez was actually the one who came up with the idea and like put all that together. And Dream saw it and was like, Ricardo, you got something else to do. You get back up there with Del Rio. I'm taking this. And then like it was like they slowly pulled people out. Like Orlando got pulled up to tag with Primo and or Epico. I always forget which one
Primo
with Eddie. Yeah. Eddie Colon and like Shaul wound up going away for a little bit. Then Tom went away for a little bit. They both came back. Connor broke his back. It was with Shaul and Tom for a while. Connor came back. I think then Shaul was gone. Then Tom was gone. It was just Connor. And yeah, that story's always funny to me because like I worked a couple like house shows with Tom. I think when Connor's back was broken, and we were always kind of trying to pitch me being Ascension, but Dream was not having any of that. He did not want me. He'd always say like, "That's something else for you, baby. That's something else for you." I guess.
What was that? Do you know?
No, because so
Did you get Rob
But-
Naylor to stooge it to you? Come on.
I can't remember if Naylor ever stooged what Dusty said about me to him. I just don't think, like, I'm not a talker. You know what I mean? And like, I'm not good at kissing people's ass. So like, when I'd go
Mhm.
talk to Dream, it was like pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of us ever really beat around the bush with it. So like, you know, it just wasn't one of those things. I'm not good at like remembering stuff that like I've
Yeah.
done that other people have done. So I can't be like, Dream, tell me about that time,
Mhm.
you know, you did this or that. But I always loved his stories. Like, in listening to his stories, I loved when I saw his trick of telling a story. And I wish I could do it even half as well as he did, because it was magic to watch him captivate a room of people and how he hooked them all in to see it. It was awesome. But I just don't think I had a good enough relationship with him for a while. It took a while, because then it was Hunter that put me in Ascension because of like Norman Smiley and Billy Kidman telling him that it should be me in with Connor. And so even then, Dream didn't like it for a while, and we kept doing stuff. And eventually, one day, I just remember we were doing promo class, and Dream came out and he goes, "Well, Rick Victor, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but keep on doing it because it's working. This is your Ascension now." And then he just walked back into his office, and me and Connor were like, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, "Did I get approval or like?" This will
So
be the first screen. Meet baby Logan.
hi, baby Logan.
Yeah.
He's adorable. Gosh, you guys did so good.
Yeah, we got lucky there. It was it's been a long couple of years.
Wow. Yeah, no crap.
One more puppy's in here too, licking my feet. Yeah, but that was just kind of how it happened. I mean, like it was a wild thing, because there was so long that I was being told no to everything, to all of a sudden like I was doing everything right, which, yeah, it doesn't last long.
Mhm.
But it was nice, even though it was very confusing when it did happen. But I mean, too, us being an Ascension, like whatever people saw on the outside was not how it felt for us, like doing what we were doing. Like we were always trying to prove ourselves. It was like every day there was something wrong, like that we weren't doing right. And it was just like, you know, it was like a good challenge. Like it really pushed us. Like, man, we had some sweet matches with guys on live events that like nobody's ever gonna see other than like those people that were there. And I mean, we were
Yeah.
having half an hour main events with guys like Jason Jordan and CJ Parker. I can't remember if that's his actual real name, but you know, CJ from New Japan and stuff like that.
Juice.
Yeah, Juice. I mean, like
Mhm.
same with like Sean Spears. Like we'd work him with different guys, and like Angelo Dawkins. We worked Angelo Dawkins and Big Cass a million times with every different partner that they ever had, except for we never worked Dawkins with his current partner Montez.
Uh-huh.
But even Big Cass, we worked him with a million different partners, and then a million times with Enzo. And we had so many different matches with those guys that, you know, people never got to see. So
Well, the team, I guess it was, you know, you have the different iterations of FCW into NXT, but it really when Triple H took the reins and made it his baby is when
yeah,
things took that turn, and that was
yeah,
big for you guys, right? Big for the Ascension. You
100%.
guys were you were feature players.
Yes. I mean, that was the thing. Like it took some time, but we won him over. Like I can remember the first time I saw Triple H watching Ascension entrance, and he said, "Who the f- these guys think they are that they need a 3.5 minute entrance or something like that?" Because like that's how long like the music played, and like they had going out and all that sort of stuff. And I'm pretty sure it was Dream just looked at him and he went, "Just watch, baby, and you'll see why. You'll see why." And I think what they just wound up shaving off a little bit of time, because that was when they were first doing it at NXT, and it looked awesome, like with Tom,
Yeah.
Connor, and Shaw when they were doing it. So like even by the time I was doing it, like I never forgot how like Triple H made me do the entrance with him, which like at the time was like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Weird, right?
But like he was the one. I don't know if you remember, but I used to flip, almost do like the Bella flip into the ring
Yeah.
backwards. But like this is one of those things in wrestling where Triple H says, "Hey, can you do this?" I can't backflip for sure. And I said, "I don't know, but I'll try."
Nailed it.
Guess what? I did it.
Stuck the landing.
I had to keep doing it until eventually, we changed the entrance again, which I was very happy for.
It
one of those funny things,
yeah. I wonder, the narrative for people who saw the main roster Ascension, right?
Right.
Kind of different than
So much different.
how it felt.
Yeah.
And I've heard you say that.
Oh, completely. Like I was thinking about that this morning. And it's one of those things like at NXT at that point in time, everybody was kind of like evolving. But so like everybody was kind of evolving on NXT. Like we all watched Randy Orton and like Mark Henry and guys like that and Cena all evolve on WWE. But NXT guys were already evolving to become what they were. And so then there's a few of us that like when they bring us up, drastic change. Like that's like changing the way we look. But so like if they'd only like changed us a little bit, you know what I mean? Like say just put a shoulder pad on, but not made the stupid face paint and like gear change and then made it cut the promos, there wouldn't have been such a drastic, like what the
Yeah.
is this?
This is fantastic.
Baby here and my puppy's trying to jump up.
This is the interview. This is it.
Yeah, my life now. From Ascension to fatherhood.
So as I was putting on the shoulder pads and
yeah, but I was thinking like if they had just put the one shoulder pad on and sent us out without the stupid promos, we would have been fine. But like their thinking at the time was like nobody on WWE is watching NXT, so they don't know who you are, type of thing. So like they, Vince had a thing where everybody had to go through creative services and get repackaged, which over a bunch of us. But like even then, like when our first live event we ever did for WWE was right after one of the NXT takeovers. They brought us to MSG, which I couldn't believe. Like when Bill DeMott told me, I told him, and I went home and I was like, what an asshole, like ribbing me with that. And then I got the email. And I was like, oh wow, this is really happening. So of course, we go to MSG and like Michael Hayes says to us, he's like, hey, we're going to send you guys out with Vicky Guerrero tonight. Hopefully get you guys some heat because we don't know if they're going to know you or not. All right, awesome. Like we love Vicky, so like that's super cool, right? But like we were surprised because we were like, every fan knew us when we walked in the building. Like they're all talking to us about the NXT Takeover pay-per-view we just had like 2 days ago or whatever, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like do they pay attention to their fans? And so like we were the first match up after intermission. And I'll never forget like Vicky Guerrero going out doing her bit. Whole place is just booing the shit out of her. She's talking up who she's bringing out and says our name and our music hit, and that place blew up.
Yeah,
they knew who we were. MSG knew who the f we were at that point in time, but the company we worked for did not.
It was kind of Game of Thrones, right? You had VKM, and that was Hunter's baby.
Right. And I mean, at that time, Hunter was trying to help us and stuff, but like, man, he couldn't save us. Like,
he couldn't save you.
There's too much against us, I think, at that point in time, unfortunately.
So, I mean, things like there were some high mark moments, obviously, in WWE, like the Fashion Files and things like that.
But that was so long afterwards. I mean, that was
so long, right?
That was the saving grace at that point, and then that became one of those things that just became frustrating because as it worked for us, the company didn't
get behind it.
The company, but they were like, "Oh, Vince hates this." Like he's the only one who doesn't get it, so he's pissed. Like when he's the only one not laughing.
Yeah,
Fashion Files plays, and even to the point like when Legends were supposed to re-debut or something, and they hadn't debuted yet. We all went on Euro tour, and this was when Fashion Files had been playing. And I think the first night, the teams were all messed up. It was like an 8-man tag, but like we were with the Bludgeons against like Breezango and like somebody else, but it was like a heel team, like or something. Like it was like AOP or something. I have no idea. I can't remember now, but it was like messed up to where like the agents, like Fit Finley's like, I don't know what the this says.
Yeah.
These guys, just do what you can. We'll try to change it tomorrow. Go out there and it's just like you don't even know what to do because the crowd's like, huh? Like, aren't you guys friends? Like, because at that point in time, we had been friends with Breezango. There'd been enough online, which is what international crowds actually pay attention to.
Right.
Online stuff more than what's on TV. So they all knew, and they were confused as shit. So Fit put that in, and they changed it. So for a week, we were actually winning matches with Breezango against like the Bludgeons and might have been Dillinger and Mike Bennett, I think.
Okay.
I feel like we kept getting the win on Bennett every night.
Okay.
But so that went on for a week. And then it was like, we can't have Ascension winning matches. And they like switched it. Like, I can't remember what they switched it to. I think they put us with like AOP or something and like some different matches. And it was just like weird. Like, I can't. But it was just like that fact where they were like, oh,
we can't.
We don't. Yeah, we can't have these guys being baby faces. Like they didn't even want us being used. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that we found out later that was just kind of like wacky. It was just like Vince didn't want because Vince didn't get Fashion Files. Like he didn't want it on the programming. Like he didn't want it to succeed. Like I know I'd found out later that like the network had requested to do Fashion Files stuff, and they were told that none of the guys were interested. None of us, not one of us had been asked. Like, and obviously Breezango did all that stuff, and they were doing it more than just with us. But like, they had never been asked. Like, I know it was Breeze who had specifically asked one of the higher ups, "Hey, like, do you guys want to use this on network?" He goes, "We've been asking for months, and we got told you didn't want to do it." Like, what? So
it was brilliant. A lot of it, just the little Easter eggs and that.
The writers really did us all so well. Like they had so much fun with it. That was one of those things where like, oh, the writers aren't getting yelled at and like it's getting over and like the guys are having fun. But it was like the fact that they were getting over guys that
weren't supposed to get over
program anymore. Yeah.
It was weird, you know, and I know this is something I hope I'm not talking it to death, but you come in and immediately are compared to the Road Warriors, a team that is not, one of them is past, the other Animal was still alive at that point, but they're not coming back. They're not hitting that curtain to pay this off. And I just, it was so confusing to me because how do you come back from that? What do you do?
You don't. I mean,
there's no play in the playbook, right?
Yeah, Fashion Files. That was about it.
It defies logic.
Right. And you know, even that was like 3 or 4 years after the fact. You know, like I mean, it's mind-boggling. Like I think every now and then, like Vince would see us do something, and he'd be like, "Oh, maybe I like these guys," because then like we'd get set up to fail the next week.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and it happened a few times where like you know you'd go out to just do what you do. You're not thinking of, you're just going out to do what you do, and that like you do something that day that he goes, "Holy shit!" Like maybe that was something there. But then like the next week, I don't know. It's like weird. It'll be like today's you guys' opportunity. You could maybe really turn it around. Be like, okay, well, why aren't we doing what we should be doing then? You know what I mean? Like, and that's literally like how you have to present it. Well, why? No, you have to do it this way. But this is your opportunity. But you can't do that. Do it this way, and that's your opportunity. And it's gonna fail. You like it's so bizarre. It's so very bizarre. And then you just go back into whatever else. Like there was times where we were doing those like holiday backstage skit type things,
Yeah.
and
All hands on deck kind of deal.
right. And so like those are usually pre-tapes, obviously, because there's a lot of chaos within them. And there was one that we did for like Thanksgiving or something, and it was like New Day, Adam Rose, like Santino, Titus, like us, something else. Like it was a fun one. And something kept happening where it couldn't get recorded. Eventually Dave Kapoor comes in and he's like, we have to do this live, guys.
Sweet.
Like, and he looks terrified, which is crazy because like Kapoor never looked terrified, but he looked fucking nervous this day. It's like there was so much that could go wrong in this sketch. You know what I
Spinning
mean?
plates, juggling babies.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
carrying food, whatever else.
And it's all on him too, right? It's
Yeah.
his segment. Not
Yes.
all on him, but
Yeah. And I mean, all the guys go, yeah, don't worry, man. We got this. I mean, everybody's super professional,
yeah.
bangs it out. Like that's one of those things that pro wrestlers do, like nobody else. Like you're on live TV, you only got one take. Do it. And wrestlers will do it. Like it. But then, hey, rehearse this scene 100 times and do it. Not so much.
Isn't that amazing? Like the ability to be able to do that
Yeah.
first time. Like it's just the
Yeah.
you're better than you think you are.
Right.
Right? In those moments. So I think that's a good place to really kind of segue as we're beginning to wrap into the psychology of guys being broken
Right.
mentally. What would you
Right.
say like the biggest adversity, the overlapping theme that you faced obstacle wise in your journey and career has been?
I mean, it's just always searching for approval. Because you're searching for approval that won't necessarily last. You know what I mean? Like you've got to be. I mean, there's a few guys that like AJ Styles, for instance. You know what I mean? Who's never really been probably hated on, as far as I know, like type of thing. Like wasn't always with the biggest company, but like you know, from like the first time I remember seeing him, people loved him, and he was always awesome. And you know, there's not a lot of guys like that, I guess I would say. But so the rest of us are all kind of searching for our approval constantly, and the only way we really get our approval is through our paychecks. You know what I mean? Or through our TV time, through our followers, that type of thing. And it's when you and it, you know, it builds up all the like negative things in you because you're like, why am I not getting this? But like so and so is. I'm doing all the shit I'm supposed to do. This guy is doing all and he's over, you know, or he's in there politicking and you know, my hard work doesn't work. Like there's so many different things in wrestling that you're supposed to do or you're not supposed to do. And it gets just like mentally. And then when you're in like a developmental system where like half the time you get told excuses as to why you're not good enough, but it's not that you're not good enough. It's just that they don't have the spot for you right then. And instead of saying, hey, hold tight, we're going to mess with you for a while and like make you work harder and, you know, kind of mind you. Like that was a lot of the systems. Like even OVW when I first got there was a bit of a mind. Working with Al Snow was like a completely different thing, and I had to figure out what the fuck he wanted me to do because obviously he didn't want me to just go out and wrestle the match that I wanted to wrestle.
Yeah.
But that was the same too. Like with the first time I went to England, I'd been doing all this Japanese training, helping like getting DJ and guys like that ready for Japan. And then you go wrestle in England to wrestle for Brian Dixon on the Butlins camps. And you ain't doing Japanese style wrestling. You know, Brian Dixon didn't want to see like any wrestling at that time. He wanted to see kids clapping their hands, cheering, booing, and buying his merchandise. If you were having a good wrestling match, he was probably pissed because the fans were paying attention to you and not buying merchandise. So you had to figure out how to go sell some merchandise for Brian Dixon. And it wasn't even your merchandise. Only him making the money. But so like, even like a guy like me, I kind of knew that about him. And I just never go and be like, hey, Brian, what'd you think about my match tonight? Because he hated wrestling. He didn't give a shit. So like, if you go to a guy like that to get approval, you weren't going to get it. And I had a friend who I had trained with and wrestled with for, my first few years, who he would go do that because he needed the approval. And when he came back from a few months in England and being hurt, he didn't wrestle anymore. Like it was a shot because like you get to that point where you're like, why am I doing this? Like, and for a lot of us who, when you really love wrestling, you do it because you love wrestling, and it's just like that abusive relationship. You keep trying to give all that you can give, and it just keeps cheating on you and abusing you, and occasionally gives you your little moment here and there. But they don't last very long, and that moment's only for you. Nobody else remembers it, like 99% of the time. So it's very, very emotionally damaging to people. Like, I think everybody has different mentalities. I had a pretty hard mentality for a long time, but like when, in NXT, we were trained to be good soldiers. Like that was what we were. Ascension was good soldiers. That was how we were told we had to be. And when we got up on the road, that didn't matter.
None of it mattered.
No. I mean, good soldiers means like, okay, you're dependable enough to be there, but it's not. A good soldier isn't a superstar. That's the best way I can put it. And like, I get that. Like, you have to find whatever else makes you that superstar for them in those cases, and you have to keep shoving it down their throat. I mean, but a lot of guys can do that, and if they don't, you can't sell it. It just drives you crazy. Like, how many guys have probably had $1 million ideas and that have never come to fruition?
Yeah.
So it's hard to deal with.
Myself. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And I think some people see or hear this kind of talk and they say, oh, the poor, you know what I mean? Oh, the poor wrestler, the poor showbiz guy. I don't think we're not talking about weak-minded people here.
Yeah.
We're talking about my guest right now, you have survived. Like, think of all the things you've gone through to get where you were. You're not a snowflake individual. You are a tough SOB.
Yeah, I tried to forget a lot of it. That's the problem.
But it's because you love it, because you know what I mean? That's why, like, it is. It's a mistress. It's your first love.
Yeah, I had a hard time even wanting to coach students for a while because I didn't have much positive to say about wrestling after getting released, and I kind of had to like have a come to Jesus moment with myself of like, do I hate this because of holding on to like vindictive things, or like do you just hate it because you're done with type of thing? And I realized I was just holding on to negativity, because when I looked at the journey, awesome, like all the people that I met, all the places I've been, all the shit I've seen, good, bad, whatever. It's wild. I couldn't trade my 25 years in this business for anything in the world. That's taken me around the world, and all the good people, bad people, all of it that I've met has been such a crazy experience. And I never would have, like, it's funny to me because what really makes me think about this is after taking time off and then going back into like a locker room, back into a wrestling locker room after a couple of years, my home life is very boring, which I'm cool with. Like I totally good with where I was at. And then you go to work and you're hanging out with Violent J or Billy Corgan. Why? I'm at a wrestling show. How does this happen? And then you're talking to Rock and Roll Express, like Ricky Morton. And then you see Ricky Morton's kid, and then you meet new people in the business, and then you're seeing old friends like the Outrunners, and you're laughing about stuff because it's been so long since you've seen them, but then you're like, how weird is this? Like now we're sitting here and like there's Violent J, all this kind of like just the weird, wacky world of wrestling. Like even the fact that when I see the Outrunners, they were not the Outrunners.
Right.
First knew, Truth Magnum. It was far from Truth Magnum.
Way
So
far
it's
from it.
right. So it's I love that about the business now because I can appreciate that about it and see the difference, and I don't hold it to any standards. Like I'm sure we heard this a long time ago, but the business doesn't owe us anything.
Yep.
And that's a lot of the times we fool ourselves into thinking it does. And
It's
that's
true,
something we
though.
always need to remember. Like, no matter how much we love it, it doesn't have to love us back. That's not its job. So,
And I think we also give it treat it like it's a living thing. It's you know what I mean? It's a bit, business is cold.
yeah.
It may be your dream, but it's a business. It's everyone else's business.
Yeah.
And we could have been accountants, or I couldn't have been from my trying to tally up how old Logan is there, but we could have done anything, and we chose this. It didn't choose us. Nobody was waiting around going, what's Viktor doing? What's Timmy Baltimore doing? So, and I think that's really good to hear because good to hear you say that at this point because you have so much to give. You've been fortunate enough to learn from some of the greatest minds. Think how many they're not making any more Rip Rogerses or Danny Davises.
Thank
Dusty
God on
Rhodes.
the Rip Rogers fact.
So you have this knowledge and you're paying it forward. I guess I want to ask you as we're rounding out, taking the long way home.
You might.
Oh, it's almost
yeah,
I'm almost gonna hitting you with the short arm clothesline here. We're about to go into DDT.
We do go to finish.
What would you say to anybody, civilians, whatever, who's experiencing that kind of adversity that you did, as far as looking for approval in a non-wrestling arena?
I wrote down the statement because one of my students had asked me about what advice I would have for my past self, type of thing. And it was just that, like, if something makes you so miserable that, that's not the right. How did I phrase it now? It's like you can't base yourself off of what you do. You know what I mean? Like, or like what your occupation is. Like
what you do isn't who you are.
Right. Like that's more or less it. And then the entertainment business, all you're trying to do is be somebody, and that's how you're trying to get your approval. So it's how the only way to feel your validation. But like that's not you. Like there's so many things where you have to be okay with you. Like as cheesy as it sounds, like you'll only like kind of validate like an ego type basis in your mind with these things, but at the same time that'll bring you down, and it'll make it worse, just because like when your validation can instantly turn around and bite you in the ass type of thing, or like bite you back every day, it's hard to deal with. So like even in real life, like wrestling kind of taught me how to navigate people, I think, a little better in normal life, because even when I deal with people normally, it's much differently. I know that, like after wrestling than before wrestling,
right?
And but I have a much different respect for people as well that are just doing what they're doing, and not trying to be a superstar or a rock star. They're just doing what they're doing, and I find that to be much more important and rewarding than anything else. Like you got to be okay with you. just can't validate everything off of like what your boss at work tells you. Like, did you do a job today? I mean, if you did, do it better. But like, that doesn't mean you're a shitty person.
Fantastic. APOC, you're one of a kind. I always have appreciated and still do your candor, your honesty.
Thanks, buddy. Same.
Yeah, you've always in a business of schmoozers, and I'm a bit of a schmoozer.
You do it right.
Thanks, man. You're the genuine article.
Yeah, I'm not a schmoozer. I don't got time for that bullshit.
But
go. We could be smizzing behind the somewhere, doing some fun. The bullshit out of the way.
Get the bullshit out of the way and get it in.
Yeah.
But I'm so like right now, picture's worth 1,000 words. This makes me so happy to see. Like, this is what it's about, man. Me
too, dude. It's nice to be able to sit at home and like be like, oh, I like this. I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take on this next adventure, you know, because I wasn't doing anything worthwhile before. So,
got anything to promote? What about the school? Is
Death Proof Dojo? Yes. You know, Chris Silvio is like the head trainer, obviously there, and runs it, and he's doing really good. He's started to reach out with more local companies and stuff like that. We're working with some companies, and our students are starting to branch out more and get more work and stuff like that. And it's doing really good. So yeah, everybody wants to check that out at Death Proof Dojo on both, I think, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff, or at Chris Silvio or myself at Victor Space Lord, and you can come learn how to wrestle if you want.
If you're thinking about learning how to wrestle, if you're thinking about jumping in the business, you're not going to find a more qualified teacher who has accumulated the knowledge of many masters and senseis across many different
times.
I'm
a blessed man for all the things I've
sure. Yeah, and I guess that's it, man. Like, it's always a pleasure. I love you.
Love you too, buddy. It's been too long.
It's been too long.
Probably why we wound up talking for 2 hours instead of
45
minutes.
I know.
I didn't get mad and be like, I gotta fucking go.
I was still trying to figure out what this thing is. Like, but it's becoming just chatting with friends, you know.
So it makes it good conversation.
Yeah. So all right, I forgot I'm hosting a show.
Yeah.
This is LiMPiN AiNT. My name is Timmy Baltimore. The great Viktor, also affectionately known as APOC in some circles. The handsome, beautiful, chubby-cheeked Logan in the house. Fantastic t-shirt. Love the poster. And we will see you on the next episode of this program. This has been LiMPiN AiNT. But it sure beats crawling. Just ask Logan. See you next time. Can't beat that. That's the out.
Make it funky, funky, funky.
But he's only 11 weeks. 11 weeks now.
So not what is that? 4 months.
He was born. Yeah. He's only like over just 2 months. Right? What? Yeah. December to January. Yeah, he's only just over 2 months because he was born in November.
11 weeks is sorry. Hey, you jabronis. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and podcast. And check us out on social media at Timmy Baltimore. This has been LiMPiN AiNT. It's wrestling. As real as it gets.